Minister Tito Mboweni to take his own advice and resign. Well, that's according to some reports. Now, earlier this year, in his budget address, Mboweni said that the public service was bloated and suggested that public servants who are 55 and over should retire early. Cosatu also has issues with the Public Enterprises Minister Pravin Gordhan, saying they're unhappy with his approach to unbundle Eskom. With us is the Second Deputy President of Cosatu, Mike Shingange, who joins us in studio now. Mike, I think let's clarify on quite a number of issues. Do you want the Finance Minister gone? Because from what we are getting is that you want him to basically not to avail himself after the May 8 elections.
Well, good evening indeed. Let us clarify. We didn't go out and call for anybody to go. We were answering questions about his views on the public service. Our view was that if you're talking about people who are 50 and 55, that must vacate the public service, in particular for the reasons that he cited to cut the public wage bill that is supposedly too high. We were saying the best place to start will be in cabinet and parliament itself, because we've got people who have, not only him, who have long reached the retirement age that is mandatory in this country in terms of the constitution. They should have long gone home. And so that's our view. But when we said we would be shocked if he was to avail himself, we were consistent with what we raised when he was first appointed. When he was first appointed, our view was that he was appointed as a transitional measure after the resignation of Nhlanhla and after perhaps the many other people could not avail themselves. Our view is that Tito Mboweni has been in and out of government since 1994. His views and that of his colleagues that they have served with, particularly in the economic class, that are not something that have been able to take the country forward. So that's what we were raising there about taking his own advice. So if I'm 50 and he's 60 and he thinks I must go, shouldn't he start first?
So you did not categorically say that the Finance Minister needs to go?
We didn't make that call. No, we didn't make that call.
But you do have issues, some issues, a bone to pick with him when it comes to issues of state-owned enterprises and the utterances that he has made.
We have a lot of bones to pick up with him. We've got issues with him because of what he performs like an individual person outside the institution called the state. For instance, when the things he pronounced in the budget speech that in regards to the public servants are something that are contrary to another institution that is existing, calling the Public Service Bargaining Council, in which a number of collective agreements have been entered into that governs how that employer-employee relations, in particularly the benefits that are there, issues like the bonus, performance bonuses, issues of the retirement and so on. For him to stand in Parliament and pronounce, is saying to South Africans he wants to disregard the institutions that are established to democratize the workplace and so to afford the voices of workers to be heard. So we can't have a minister like that. And that's not that which the ruling party stands for. That's not what our democratic dispensation purports. It's just his view. So we have issues with that. I mean, in terms of state-owned enterprises, over and over again, the president had to clarify that he's not up to privatizing or reducing his workers. But he's the minister that every time he gets time to speak, that's what he says. So we indeed have got issues with him.
Perhaps, Mike, you don't want to categorically say that you want him gone, but by the sound of the many reasons that you are giving me, you certainly would not want to see him post the elections of May the 8th. So don't shy away from, if with the many reasons you've just given me, it certainly sounds like you'd not want to see Tito Mboweni anywhere near.
No, there's a difference about asking him to go now and not expecting him to come back. We'd never had, in October when he was appointed, we never had an expectation that he would even avail himself post the elections. We thought he understood very well that he's in there as a transitional measure. So perhaps he has been now too excited with this deployment now that he thinks he can run the country the way he wants to. So want to say to him, we think his ideas at the helm of the economic cluster, in particular the Reserve Bank and his cohort, have not taken this country forward. We think it's time for new ideas. And when we say new ideas, we don't mean age by per se. We mean people who are going to have fresh ideas in terms of implementing the policies of the ruling party, which him has failed and introduced his own thing since 1996.
New ideas. I want to ask you about what he has already placed on the record about Maria Ramos being one of the individuals who is being considered to handle the issue of the unbundling of Eskom. Cosatu is not happy about that.
Well, we're not. Maria Ramos, Tito Mboweni, Trevor Manuel, and a whole lot of them, they are the people who have been failing this country since 1994. Maria Ramos was a Director General of the National Treasury, which is the one that was at the helm of how the economy must go. It presided over a jobless growth at the point when people said the economy was growing. The economy was not creating jobs enough. It was shedding jobs. Maria Ramos was at the helm in the private sector of many institutions that have been unbundled and privatized and ultimately collapsed. Maria Ramos was the CEO of Absa Bank when they manipulated the rand. She came out and she admitted that we want to take this person and transfer him here again with a state-owned institution to do what? To collapse them again. Tito Mboweni, Trevor Manuel, Maria Ramos presided over the unbundling of Telkom, of Sasol, of Eskom. Where are the jobs today? How are those institutions performing today? So we can't allow that. It's an issue that we're raising about a recycling of people who have been there, whose ideas have not taken this country forward. We can't accept that it is only them who knows better where South Africa must go and what policy South Africa must have. Our view is that the ruling party does not lack progressive policy. We're just coming from a conference in Nazareth. It was very important resolutions to which Tito Mboweni is opposed to, by the way. He had views in the conference, he lost those views, but he goes out using the deployment that he has to purport his views, and that is against what the ruling party is saying. The manifesto of the ANC is clear on what must happen in terms of economic growth and creation of jobs, but he speaks as an individual.
Mike, who would you like then, as Cosatu, who would you like to see then preside over this unbundling of Eskom? Because I think at the center of your concerns at this stage is that many are thinking unbundling will translate to job losses. Then what would you like to see in terms of who should handle, you're far against the likes of Maria Ramos handling that, given that she's been one of those being considered? To
start with, we are against the unbundling. We are opposed totally to unbundling because our view is that the call for unbundling of Eskom is actually a call of privatization.
But it's going to happen, so
nobody would think it's suitable to preside over the process that is going to lead to job shedding. That's going to lead to electricity being unaffordable to the poor because they will not going to avoid, in particular when you have people like Maria Ramos who are the proponents of privatizations. These are the people who privatized many state-owned enterprises in the past since the 2002. So when they do that thing, there's no way we're going to avoid Eskom falling in the hands of private and therefore making electricity unaffordable, number one, but making jobs to be shared. So we're not going to support anybody because we're actually totally opposed to the unbundling.
Thank you so much for your time. Cosatu's Mike Shingange joining us, of course, talking about a range of issues. They're saying, they're not categorically saying that the Finance Minister, Tito Mboweni, should go, but on an issue, I think that takes one of our stories forward at this point. Cosatu saying that they don't think that Maria Ramos, as one of the women who's been considered for the unbundling of Eskom, is the right woman for the job. But you know, of course, Cosatu's stance being that Eskom should not be unbundled at all. It might lead to job losses. Thank you very much for your time. Let's take a short break here on The Full View. More news when we get back.